Today we are playing with so much exciting new makeup. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. I have tried all of these products individually, but I have not put them all on my face at once, so it's gonna be a journey. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to be using the new Milk Makeup Grip and Glow primer. So they made a hydro grip that's got gold stuff in it. And the foremost leaders in shrinkflation continue to shrinkflate. Then we have the new LYS. This is their new foundation stick. And I have two of them. I'll swatch both of them, but I bought two because the first one was too deep. So that'll give you a chance to kind of see how they compare. I also got the new highlighter from Gucci, but I kind of like quickly forgot about it because I also got the ones from HINDASH and they are just light years better and like a lot less expensive. So I'll be using those today. As far as eyes, I definitely have the new Lisa Eldridge compact, her little palette of 6 here. This is the Fawn palette, but I also have the liquids. I'll hunt those down and swatch those for you. Like I said, I mean, there's gonna be chapters because this is gonna be a lot. And then I have new blushes from Ravie Beauty by Miss Ali Glines. So I just got these in the mail. We have a lot of ground to cover. I'll decide on lips when we get there. Let's go ahead and jump in. If you're curious why my complexion looks a little bit better than it usually does, and I've just sat down on camera, I'm wearing the INNBEAUTY Project SPF, and it has actually the right amount of glow and the right amount of slight bronzing. Like you can see there's a teeny tiny demarcation line right there between the complexion products, the SPF, and my, you know, my scalp. But I put it on and I'm just like, that's beautiful. Like you can see, I kind of redid my bathroom a little bit and I bought a new mirror and I bought a new light and I'm just like, oh, I can see my pores in all kinds of HD. And so I had a moment of impulsivity. The SPF really did a good job camouflaging it. It was a lot worse. All right, let's start with the Milk Primer here. I'm just gonna use a little bit of this. I like the Hydro Grip Primer as a general rule, but it does, if you kind of apply too much, it will make a mask on your face. Like it will extend the life of your makeup, but your makeup sort of hovers off of your face in a weird way. It looks a little bit surreal. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna try and use very little here because I already have a little slip to my skin. And I have used this before, the Glow version, and I am pleased by the fact that it is not, you know, the KOSAS Glow IV. It's not going on like a liquid eyeshadow all over my face, and it does grip. You know, the Hydro Grip is a very reliable product. They also sent me all of the matte primers and all the matte powders and everything. I might try them, like the Pore Eclipse Blur stuff, but that is definitely not made primarily for my skin type, so I don't really think that I am the ideal person to be reviewing that. So we have here 2 of the LYS foundations. I think that the containers sort of reflect the colors inside, but it looks like there are groupings. I'm not totally certain, but I have here the deeper shade LN6, light neutral 6, and then the fairer one, light neutral 3. So let me swatch those for you. The light neutral 6 is not my shade, and you'll see why. There's an insane dog near me that just makes that sound at least once every day where I'm just like, oh God, what's happening? And it's just like, oh, it's a dog. Ignore the lip liner swatch on my hand, but there you have LN6 and LN3, and you can see kind of what I'm talking about. Now, it is 3 and 6. There are shades in between there. That's not even as big of a leap as there is between the first 2 shades in the Victoria Beckham Concealer, which is the new benchmark for disappointment. But this shade right here, LN3, does seem to be pretty good. Undertone-wise, I do find them to be a little odd. They're both quite peach for a neutral. They're very saturated versions of what you would consider to be an undertone match, because usually neutral is a combination of warm and cool. They don't, you know, because it's not like your skin is clear or something. In this case, I would have liked it to be a little bit less saturated, so a little bit more like gray in the mix. It is something where I feel like with my skin type, I can very much get away with wearing a slippy primer or just doing a fair amount of skin prep to begin with, because I think it is pretty flexible in terms of the skin types that it'll work for. LYS is an absolutely incredible brand. They really impress me. They tend to be a little bit more oil controlling than formulas that I would typically pick. They're still, I don't know, just like building a new world out there. But this one is really, like I said, it's very flexible. So I've found that even though it's not as like dewy as I would necessarily, you know, ideally pick, it wears really, really beautifully, and I can definitely get away with it. And it's really funny because when it was being announced on Trend Mood, I was like, I bet it'll be like 25 bucks. Yep. 25 bucks, 25 bucks, y'all. That's pretty darn good for a foundation at Sephora. Okay, I have a lot more coverage on one side than the other, but you can see, you know, that I sort of blended, and you can get a little bit less coverage. It is flexible in that sense. And this side has a little more coverage. And where it is showing through, you can see the beautiful finish on the primer. We are definitely going for coverage today, but like, actually, all told, it ends up being a fantastic shade match. It really does. But look at the finish on that. It's gorgeous. Lightweight, doesn't have any of that funny molten feeling to it. Again, I feel like this is a formula and a brand in general that makes products that have a lot of flexibility for, you know, oil control, but also for their products not to just suck you dry and make everything matte. They do a really, really great job. So I am going to pull a little bit off of the bullet here, if that's what you could call this thing. Strange. Actually, you know, all their stuff is triangular, but triangular, but it does remind me of Hourglass. The Hourglass, like I have, you know, their blush component here. They're very, like, very alike. Hourglass is a little bit more angular, but I actually like this a lot better than I like the Hourglass foundation, just because that foundation, while being incredibly full coverage, does have octinoxate in it for no freaking reason. So it breaks my skin out. Sorry, I'm still kind of dead behind the eyes, y'all. I'm feeling, and I know I keep talking about this, but I consider myself to be like high functioning terrified about the season change right now. Like, not about fall, but about winter coming. Last year was so bad. And all I did was travel, and I'm just bracing myself for that again. It's so hard. It's so hard. And I'm just seeing the days get shorter and shorter, and I'm just filled with dread.
Just wanted to add some dimension to that story. Yeah, I had a lovely weekend, but in the Uber on the way to meet my boyfriend to head out to Montauk, I just inexplicably cried the entire way. Just the entire way. Just dread and loneliness and just the fact that I cannot believe that I'm heading into another season in a place that I don't want to live because it's so bleak and sad in the winter. I don't know who needs to hear that right now, but someone does. And I feel like too much of the time, I'm not trying to be some kind of like, you know, paragon for authenticity here, but like too often you see so little of us on camera that, you know, influencers can seem like, wow, you know, I'm doing fine all the time. I am so not doing fine. And it is way too early in the year for me to not be doing fine. Oh my God. It's time to buy a happy light and pray for the best, y'all. I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's funny, but it's not funny at all.
That's where I'm at right now. Yeah, so you can see it's a touch peach, a touch, but I honestly think that like most people would not notice that, especially because I have so much pigmentation that it's kind of hard to see with no makeup on like what my actual skin tone is. We're just kind of doing the best we can. But I mean, look at that coverage. I could build that even more and completely cover up those blemishes if I wanted to, but I'm not going to because we're also going to put on a little bit of concealer and I'm going to also powder. So I am not, however, going to be using either the Westman Atelier or the Victoria Beckham concealer because I need a little bit more coverage than either of those can offer. So I'm just using the JOUER Essential High Coverage Concealer here. It's quite lovely, fantastic for when I'm broken out. Pretty good complexion match. It's slightly brightening. We're not going for a ton of brightening today, even though we're going to be putting on, honestly, quite a lot of makeup. I really feel like you set the tone for how much makeup you're going to wear by how much coverage you put on, you know? It's like, well, I've taken all of the natural dimension out of my face, so now I need to draw it all back on. I still don't want to go super high contrast and have to work really hard at it and then have it look surreal compared to me wearing civilian clothes, not like going somewhere and getting photographed. Oh, look at that though. Talk about a perfected complexion. My goodness, that's just lovely. Okay, get this off my lips here. Let's do a little bit of a lip prep moment if we can. I've been liking the Make Beauty, mainly because it's right here in front of me, but it is also unoffensive. It's supposed to be a plumper. Can't really speak to that, but it is unoffensive. They actually sent me brow product. I'll have to go downstairs and grab that before we do my brows. Include that too, my goodness. I'm going to zoom through bronzer and contour here, like very gentle bronzer, because I still want you to be able to see the Ravie when I put it on, but it's also a powder, so I wanna make sure that I'm getting the right surface on my skin before I do that. Now, normally I would be like, I'm not gonna put any bronzer on before you see these blushes because I want you to see the trueness of the color. You're gonna see them. You're gonna see them. These are not messing around. They are quite pigmented and they go on very saturated. So this is the Endless Diffusion Everyday Baked Blush from Ravie. Again, Ali Glines' brand, and this is her first blush release. These are baked blushes. There are 3 shades. I have loved her initial release, the lip formula, and I have used these now, all 3 of them, at least once before, and the shades are absolutely gorgeous. So they do have the marbling in the pan. It's kind of giving, you know, a high-end version of a Milani Luminoso, Holy Potatoes. That's really pigmented. And also kind of the new KOSAS blushes, quite similar to that, but they, I feel like, have the level of blur in them that you would see like from Singe Beauty, more so than like the shimmer effect that you get from the KOSAS or even sometimes the Milani. So I'm really excited to show these to you. The blur is pretty incredible, but this one, obviously this isn't meant for my skin tone. Like, that's for someone else, mainly because of how saturated it is. This middle one right here is called Daydream. Can you see that? And then this sort of beige one is called Paradise. And Paradise is where we're going to start. Just because, you know, the eye look is going to be so neutral. It's going to be so brown. I kind of want to stay in like a comfort zone there, especially since we're going to be just putting on so many products. Let's stay in safe territory as much as we can, as long as we can. Do not be afraid of a large brush when it comes to blush. Bigger brushes apply less product because it is diffusing it to a larger area. See, like, it definitely applies. Like, you're gonna see it. And I'm being really ginger with it. If you buff, you're going to get like this beautiful blurred, see, you have to be pretty careful, full saturation application. But I mean, I would honestly kind of compare them, and this is such a high compliment, I would compare them to the Hourglass. Like, they're that good. They're so pretty. They're so pretty on the skin. I don't think I'm really doing it justice because I'm applying it directly on top of unpowdered makeup, but I have kind of let these sit, you know, once you have your makeup on and everything and you put something like this on, and then you just let your makeup, while you're doing the rest of your makeup, the time it takes to just, you know, finish putting on your mascara and stuff like that, these really melt into the rest of your makeup and they just look so beautiful and blurring and natural. I love that they have this really delicate amount of reflectiveness to them that just adds blur. It's that ethereal blur that you get, like I said, from Hourglass, not the kind of like, I don't know, could accentuate texture, maybe, kind of inconsistent shimmer that you sometimes get from like the KOSAS or Milani. Actually, Milani's better. The KOSAS can be a little bit shimmery for my taste. But I do feel like the Singe Beauty ones also have a really fantastic like reflective quality to them like this. These are just a little bit subtler, and I feel like they just are kind of coming at it from a different direction color-wise. So there is that. They're beautiful. That it might not be the last word on putting blush on today, but if you're like me, fair complected, and you want something that is just easy, you know, it's going to go with sort of a neutral to warm complexion in this beautiful beige tone. It's not bronzer, but it is pretty bronzer adjacent. I would definitely go for Paradise. So, so beautiful. I'm grabbing my KOSAS. We're just going to powder with that real quick. We need to have some things that aren't moving parts, you know? Some constants in this scientific experiment. Y'all! I haven't been this excited about a highlighter release in ages. Like I said, I actually spent my money on the new Gucci and I will swatch it for you. But, you know, watching, I hate to be that person, but you know, HINDASH is a lovely human being and someone I'm proud to call a friend. And I have watched from behind the scenes for literal, what, years? watched these things come together. And the way that they turned out, I knew they were going to be great, but I didn't like expect to be able to wear and want to wear all of them all at once, all the time. Because you look at them and you're like, these are supposed to go with skin tones, you know what I mean? Like, this is for a medium skin tone, this is for a deep skin tone, this is for a really fair skin tone. No, just wear them all. Just wear them all, you know? So I think that I'm going to start by using the medium toned one as an actual highlighter. I'll do my eye look, and then I'll probably integrate the other two into the eye look as well, because why the gosh not? And also there aren't really like a lot of this kind of texture in the new Lisa Eldridge stuff, so I feel like it'll complement it pretty well. I just need to start putting them on. They're bananas. Again, like, I knew they were going to be good, but this texture it's stupid, okay? It's stupid. I need like something kind of large here. Yeah, like, yes, I'm going in with that brush for highlighter. If you are familiar with the HINDASH formulas, you know that his stuff is pressed really hard. It usually doesn't dust up for that reason. It's very blurring for that reason. And everything is so subtle. I think that it is, I mean, there are a lot of different words we use to describe highlight, right? And I think that we can get into a matter of taste pretty quickly, you know, like trying to make fun of one person's taste versus another. I will just say that is a sophisticated blur. It is so pretty. Nothing has ever not gathered, you know, especially because I wear so many different textures of makeup and I pile powder on top of cream, this, that, and the other. Always, especially right here where, like, if you think about it, like every single product you put on your face ends up piled up right in this spot. That's the area that ends up with the most layers of makeup on it. Then you put highlighter on top and it's always like, okay, don't get too close. But this, it's like, get close. It's great. It is really, really lovely. It really improves the situation. I do have Botox in my crow's feet, so the story could be different for anybody, but I mean, once you start putting it on, it just is like this beautiful actual skin highlighting, skin improving, blurring powder thing. I mean, I'm not gonna put it on my whole face, although the urge is there, but look at that. Look at the way that the light hits that. It just looks like healthy skin, but like, you know, just this much HINDASH better. If you've never watched his tutorials or something on Instagram, I mean, good grief. The layers of makeup that go on and everything, they're all so delicate and it all comes together to make something so seamless. And I feel like these make it so easy to achieve that because he has put so much work into making these formulas incredibly user-friendly and so satisfying to use. Like, it's bananas. I want to go and tell those people to go home. They start at 7 a.m. on the nose. So like, I walk out of my room and my son walks out of his room and we're like, good morning, you know, because it's like, good God, guys. Like, they literally are sitting there waiting for it to strike 7 a.m. and then it's just this all day long. And you know what? The roads don't look any different. I don't know what they're doing. All right, let's swatch some Lisa Eldridge, because I ended up, the day before they announced it, I ended up getting all of these in the mail, and it was also the day that I was leaving for Natalie's wedding. And so I was like, these are obviously coming with me, and they are incredible. I started using them then, and you know, she has the liquid Lorexes, and those are in this same packaging, but they are shimmery. These are the liquid silk. And while it would serve the purpose to have shimmery ones come out in kind of fun colors, I don't want to say the beiges aren't fun, but you know what I mean. These all are in different depths and undertones of, you know, brown and beige, and we're gonna swatch them because it's just brilliant, honestly. Like, I think that anybody could get use out of just about all of them. I need a makeup wipe. But also I could see someone picking their favorite and it being just a mainstay in their routine, the same way that I use something like the Victoria Beckham eyeshadow sticks in Pecan and Trench. Like, they are like a foundational element to just about any eye look that I could do. Gosh, look at those shades, look at those shades. Okay, so we're gonna start over here and work our way that direction. So the first one that you're seeing is Phoebe. Then we have Gaia, Thalia, Irene, and Ione. I want to say, Ione. And they're literally just all these beautiful earth tones. I really like that one in the middle, Thalia. It reminds me a lot of Brick from Laura Mercier, which is one of my favorite kind of like sleeper hits of their eyeshadow sticks, because I feel like when it goes in the crease, it, especially on someone who's like, you know, neutral to warm complected, it looks brown without going gray. I really appreciate that. So we're going to use, I think, Phoebe. I'm gonna use Thalia and Phoebe, I think, and I'm gonna just kind of build the base of the eye look, and then I will iterate with the palette itself. So this is what she looks like. Ooh. I've been waiting for so long. I mean, we all have, right? For Lisa to release a palette of browns. When she came out with all of her palettes, yes, I bought 2 of them and she sent me 3 more, which was just incredible. But I still found myself wanting. When I was playing with them, I was just like, I understand, but like when I can't think, I just want brown. And so that was what I feel like she gave us this time. Now, I do like that they layer and I can achieve something that is a very bedroomized brown kind of color. And there is one that is nice and, you know, deep and rich, but we're still not, I kind of was hoping, right? At least maybe they'll come out in individuals or something. I admit I haven't watched her video yet. I'm terrible. I'm so behind. I'm just so behind. I would love to have one of those really unctuous, like ridiculously glittery, shimmery, creamy kind of formulas that she has in a couple of her palettes. I would love to have that in like the most delicious golden brown you've ever seen in your life. Just like I mean, just like you can't even stand it. It's so pretty. Like, that's what I want. That's what I want, Lisa, call me. We can develop one shade together. One. Anyway, so there's the palette. And you can see you have a good range of neutral, cool, but I would say it really stays right there in the middle of neutral, which is lovely. But you know, this shade over here is a little bit more green. This one is just a little bit more neutral. This has some shimmer to it, but it's more just blurring and it's a little bit more in like a gray black. This shimmer is hard to see, but it is kind of a pink gold reflect. And then this one's a very like traditional celestial. And then this is probably the closest thing we have to like a true bedroomized brown. And that's giving that like that rich, but it doesn't have quite enough sparkle for me. So any hoodles, let's commence. I do recommend for liquid eyeshadows to use a synthetic brush, and for Lisa's shadows, I do like a natural bristle brush. There are just so many people texting me. I'm so popular. FedEx. Cool. So popular. Gonna start with Phoebe. I'm slightly concerned that I'm slightly concerned that Phoebe's gonna be too yellow. I'm actually gonna go Irene on this one. I knew I would change my mind. It's just a little bit rosier. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit of that. I've got a Singe Beauty E06 here. And we're gonna just kind of start buffing and building a shape here. I'm really thinking about doing a video where I show y'all all of, like, I wanna show you that you can wear any color you want, and show you how to kind of group colors together to make a tonal look so that you can wear red or rose or beige or lavender, purple, what have you. Honestly, what it does is it kind of cracks open the idea of all these trending makeup looks, because all they really are different tonal looks. So it is easy to kind of like roll my eyes at them, because it's like, why are we all getting swept up? This is all the same idea. We're just kind of like recycling it, but what else is new? But it is also sort of a self-defense on the whole like, oh yeah, khaki, all your makeup looks look exactly the same. Yes, they do. And that is because I usually obey tonality. I'm not going for like a very different kind of tone on my blush or my lips than I do on my eyes and stuff. I don't like to kind of mix those things together. And so you do end up a lot of times looking at something that looks very balanced, but that doesn't mean that they're the same. Often it just means that they match, you know, they all go together. So there is that. I'm going to probably, you know, use something to buff the edges out and stuff, but I'm just getting a general shape here. And then I said I was going to use Thalia in the crease. Use a smaller brush for that, I think. Yeah, there we go. This is the E04. God, I do. I just want to go pop their tires. I know. My tax dollars at work. I should be grateful, but good grief. At least they're not, I think that there was one time where they were doing all the work overnight, and that was a literal nightmare. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. So they layer okay. I would say that they don't layer infinitely. It's not necessarily loving me doing that. It's like once it dries down, we're kind of done there. So I'm going to take a little bit of what I had, like my complexion product on and stuff, and just sort of buff the edges here. I mean, it had bronzer, it had all sorts of things on it, but it's just got a little bit of like a mixing medium to it, and buff those edges out because I don't want that to be damning for us in terms of using the palette. So let's go with the palette now. Seriously, I'm like, do you ever drive forwards? Or is it only backwards? So I'm going to start in here with the lightest beige. This happens fast, especially again with a natural bristle brush. I mean, it just happens fast. You don't really have to do very much. Look, it's just like a really nice everyday sort of blurred shadow moment. The liquids work great as a base, no complaints. I'm going to take a smaller brush here and go in with this deeper brown. This one gets a little bit sooty, not in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, I think that's what she was literally aiming for. It's more drama than I'm going for today. So I'm just going to let this be the deepest color that we use today, that medium. And I think that, you know, that one obviously is like even cooler, but I can feel it falling out, which is interesting because they didn't do that before. I'm kind of wondering what the differences in these formulas are, because I feel like they do pick up a little bit more easily. Some of them. She has a lot of different formulas in these eyeshadows, so it's kind of a choose your own adventure. You know, it's funny. I don't feel like what I do is like that critical, but at the same time, I think that all like makeup artist-owned brands have learned to brace themselves for the fact that like most people who have gained the trust of a medium to large following on YouTube, we're very notorious for like speaking our minds. Whereas, you know, bloggers really have the option to not have to review something if they don't end up liking it, kind of thing. Fashion, you can do that. There's so much coming out and it's all about personal style. Whereas I feel like we're all talking about the same makeup releases as they come out, more or less. And it's like people notice if I don't have an opinion on something. And so I'm not gonna lie, but it does make me less marketable. I think it makes YouTubers in general less marketable. Anyway, I am going to go in with this pink, and then we'll go in with some of HINDASH's stuff, because I know that this Celestial is gorgeous, but I think that I need to put on the HINDASH stuff first. So that's pretty. I don't really know if I love pink as the deviation in this palette. Like, I kind of wish that it was more golden or just richer or just another brown, like a different texture of brown. Are people really like afraid to fully embrace an entirely brown palette? Because like, I'm not. I feel like I talk about this in every video. Like, I'm ready to make the Bedroom Eyes brown palette. I'm ready. Okay. HINDASH, my love, my angel. Okay, so the fairest one is so icy. I will show you, and it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, be aware, you know, of what it is that we're talking about here. Like, this is not shying away from iciness. It's so beautiful. Look at that. Ooh, can really slam a brush in there. I mean, they are truly seamless. They're absolutely gorgeous. Go with a smaller brush here, get a little more concentration of it. Oh, ridiculous. Do a little bit of it up here. There's not really a shade like this in Lisa's palette, so nice that we can combine them. Are you freaking kidding me? Let's go with something teeny tiny. Yep, and then we'll put the Celestial on top. But like, can you believe? Can you believe? It's just like the most subtle, gorgeous texture. It's freaking bananas the way that the light hits it. It's flawless. I'm sorry. I don't end up being this impressed by a highlighter. I'm gonna like swatch some highlighters together after this. I'll do like the Natasha Denona and the Hermes and then the new Gucci and then the HINDASH, so that you can like see what the heck we're talking about, because it's a different animal. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with Peak Heat here, and I wanna use, I don't know, this big bad boy. And just go on my lid with that. I genuinely like find these to be more useful than a lot of the eyeshadows that I have in my collection. Like, the colors just make sense on skin. You know what I mean? Like, you're looking at it, you're like, why have we been overthinking this so much? We could have just made these colors. They all look so nice on skin. Ugh, this is way too big of a brush to have put that under my eyes with, but do I care? Clearly not. The first one that I put on was Doll Dynasty. Doll Dynasty is the, you know, the peachy gold one. So there is some Doll Dynasty on the lid because I just absolutely cannot be stopped. But you saw how Peak Heat like makes the most gorgeous, like almost coppery bronze eyeshadow for me. And then we already did that. So, all right. Now, all this to say, with the exception of the Gucci, I do love the highlighters that we're about to talk about, but they're just different, okay? They're just different. Start with Hermes Rose Atacama. That was like a typo that I don't even feel like correcting. Rose Atacama, maybe? I'm gonna try and mix all the shades together because there are several. And there we have, woo! Rose Atacama. It's funny though, because like when I went to do Natalie's makeup for her wedding, I was like trying to pick a highlighter. We definitely used some Baume Essentiel, but I can't remember what we went with underneath. But she's like, that gets away from me really quickly. And it's true. Like it's really beautiful and really blurring. It doesn't have what I consider to be very detectable particles, but it does get away from you pretty quickly, which can be fine on the everyday, but you know, not so much at your wedding. Then this is Sunrise Gold in the new Gucci Glow highlighter. If one of y'all leaves me a comment and says that this isn't new, I'm going to jump off of a bridge. So if that's true, just don't tell me. And this is very, very pretty. It's very, very pretty. It has more of a shift on it, more of like a multi-chrome shift on it, as you can see. I still consider it to be kind of like safe. It's on the safe end of a multi-chrome. We're not talking about Ritual de Fille over here, but nonetheless, it's a little bit adventurous. You know, it's got a little bit of the like mermaid glow thing to it, like from the Chanel Baume Essentiel, more so than like this one or the Natasha Denona. Now the Natasha Denona, and this one actually claims to be like a gel to powder too, and it is. I really do feel that. Like you feel this kind of like silkiness when you touch it. It's like a micro powder that has just enough emollients to it that it feels like when you pick it up, it has like an extra level of smoothness to it. It's a lot like the eyeshadows that have silicone in them, you know, where you're just like, you feel like it's kind of going to this blurring cream on the skin, and I think that that's just, it's a lovely thing. But the Natasha Denona goes like one step further, and you can see it's almost a putty, and you could like push your finger all the way through it if you wanted to. You can see it's got little lumpies in there. So she swatches like a wet look. I mean, it is really, really special. The way that it just blends right into my skin, and just the way that the light hits it, I really, really like this stuff. It's a little harder to apply. It's such a funny texture that like you have to have the right brush for it and stuff, but when you do get it on, it's incredible. It's like, you almost kind of just want to pat it on with your finger. It's that creamy. So then we have HINDASH's new ones, and I don't know how these are gonna swatch necessarily because they are so hard pressed. Ooh! You can really see the gradient when I do it like that. Oh, that's so beautiful. So again, this is Doll Dynasty Khaki. Get them right. Oh, hoo 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 hoo. So there you have that. It's really just very close to my skin tone. And they do, like I said, they have the gradient in them. It's kind of hard to see. But like that one goes sort of peach to gold. So beautiful. If I were only gonna buy one, I would buy this one, but I really will get use out of all of them. Then we have Peak Heat, which goes from a like more deep bronze here to a more golden bronze, like almost like a red to a gold. And that is absolutely bananas. I mean, can you imagine that on deep skin? Good grief. You don't even have to imagine it. Just go over to his Instagram and he'll show you. But it looks great on my eyes. And actually, I will put this one up top mainly because I ran out of room, but also because it's so similar to these shades that it's nice to have it right next to it. So this is La Luna. So there's La Luna in comparison to those. I mean, it just looks like my skin is almost like a pearl. Instead of looking like it's a highlighter, it looks like it's a pearl. It is a pearl color. It is not backing down from that, but it also goes on the skin so subtly if you want it to. Like you have to work pretty hard if you want to get like a stripe, an old-fashioned stripe of highlighter on your face that like people always make fun of now. So, I mean, it's kind of like when people talk about lip filler and they're like, I don't want to end up looking like a duck. It's like, do you know how much money and how much effort it requires to look like a duck? But yeah, it's actually really hard to make these like look over the top. You just kind of can't put too much on, you just keep looking like a goddess. Like I still want to keep putting more on, but I'm going to do my eyeliner and my mascara, and I'm gonna run and get one of the brow pencils from Make Beauty from downstairs. I have so much new stuff. I'm very, very grateful, but like when I roll my eyes, it's because I feel like I'm falling behind. So anyway, that, and we'll do lips. Still haven't decided what we're gonna do, and then I'll have final thoughts for y'all on all these things. Be exciting! Wow. Browing because that is the first time I've penciled my brows in ages. Still loving the Merit brow gel though. A lot of people are like, why is this stuff new? I've had this stuff for ages. I can't speak to everything. I don't know necessarily why Sephora said that the blush was new. This has been reformulated. Somebody said that it was pretty like mediocre before. I might have even tried it before, I can't remember, but this is exquisite. The whatever I bought is incredible. Like the color, the formula, everything. I love it. I love it. I love it. There's the look. I am not loving my eyeliner because I need to like really test this, but the Persona liner is drying out again. I said I was going to see if it did, but I think that the main test is like, if I sharpen the living crap out of it, will it soften up again? And they sent me a sharpener. Hang on, we're gonna see. Of course, it's downstairs because my child got a hold of it. Like, what about that doesn't say, hey, 4-year-old, this is for you. I have paint on me because I've been like redoing my bathroom, and when I uninstalled the light fixture, the painters had not painted behind it, so I had to pull the old touch-up paint out of the basement and like repaint the wall. All right, I'm gonna really sharpen this a lot and see if we can get some like moisture back out of it. That's a brand new, woo, a brand new point. Let's see. Okay, then it gets like soft again. That's kind of lovely. Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I don't even know what I'm quoting when I do that. I'm like quoting my mom quoting something. So now it's really soft. Okay, all right, I stand corrected. Y'all, I ordered all of this stuff to start stretching my own canvases for my paintings. About to be a big upgrade. It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna be able to paint on raw canvas. If y'all don't follow my art account, I still have a few paintings for sale right now, but honestly, like only a couple of them are actually for sale because I really like the way that they look in my house. I don't really want to like sell them, but there will be some new work coming out probably in the winter after everything dies down after the holidays. That's so much better. Why didn't I think of that? I kind of just want to wear one of Allie's lipsticks because I don't feel like we've done that yet. I just want Lily. It was downstairs in a drawer in my bathroom because I love it. So there she is in all of her beautiful glory. Hello, there's Lily. Ooh, ah. Let's see. I just jogged up the stairs. So that's a little bit on the pinker side of beige, and I think that that leaves us just a little bit of room to add some Daydream here as our finishing touch on the blush. I'm just looking for the right brush for it. This is the Sephora Plo Blush. I can't talk lately, 96. So I'm gonna just focus that kind of right here. Get a little more pink. Look at how those layer. Oh, it's just airbrushed. All the powders that I'm using today have so much technology built into them that I just feel like even if you were standing right in front of me, you'd be like, wow, that is blurred. I wanted to follow up and tell y'all that yes, indeed, I do really love the REFY Face Setter. It's gorgeous. All right, so, I mean, come on. I can't say enough about Allie's lipsticks. When do I put on a lipstick and not do anything else? Like I don't put on a lip liner, I don't blot it. Look at that formula, it's ridiculous. It's so pretty, it's so special. All right, so this being the vibe, let's go ahead and talk final thoughts on the new stuff that we tried today.
For some reason, in final thoughts, I just skipped over the Glowing Milk Makeup Hydro Grip. And I wanted to say that I did experience the same thing, even though I only put on a tiny bit. I experienced the same thing that I always experience with a Hydro Grip, and that is that, like, yes, the makeup goes on really smoothly, but it adds a very detectable layer of something to your skin before the makeup goes on. And so when you're looking at yourself in the mirror later, any place where something like your face creases, you'll notice that there's like more thickness to the makeup, so it's more actually like prone to creasing, and I just don't like it. I feel like it's just very surreal, so it's a shame. I know that there are plenty of other kind of glowing primers out there, but I did have high hopes for it because I feel like the glow that's in it is really nice and subtle, but I can get that same kind of glow from the INNBEAUTY Project SPF that I was already wearing, and it doesn't add a whole layer of product. I just think that the Hydro Grip is like too kind of like high profile, essentially. It just doesn't really look natural at the end of the day.
This is not the first time that I have worn this LYS foundation, and I've been very impressed by it. I do think that there is a lot of technology built into this. I think that there's a lot of thought put into this. It's not just like, oh, this is the delivery system that a lot of our stuff comes in, and therefore we're going to put out a stick foundation, because they already had a foundation, they already had a concealer. This is not an afterthought. This is a really cool, interesting, new kind of texture and product for them. And I actually would compare this, like as I'm seeing it now all done, to the Hourglass Veil, I think, foundation. It's not quite as high coverage. Like that truly is like putting a cream concealer on your entire face, but you could achieve that high of coverage with it, and it's such a natural looking skin finish. I am not sure, and I hope that y'all sound off for me in the comments. People who need more oil control and you've tried this, let me know. Like, does it start to break up on you throughout the day? Because it actually, when I kind of baby it right in the beginning, like if I put enough skin prep on, it performs. It performs really beautifully all day for me, and it doesn't dry out or do any like gross things that some foundations do on dry skin. So I've been extremely impressed by it. I love the way that it warms to the skin, and it looks, even though it's very full coverage, it's very skin-like, and it's so lightweight. It's so lightweight. The Ravie blushes, I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed. I mean, you can see with your own eyes. That's why I shoot in 4K. I just think that they go on more seamlessly and more blurring, right? More flatteringly than all the other things kind of in their category that you might compare them to. I would say that, again, the only thing that maybe is like slightly more luxurious is something like an Hourglass blush, but that is such a huge compliment to place her formula up against an Hourglass blush. Like, no one knows why Hourglass blushes work the way that they do. You know? And I would say if you're not in the market for, like, you know, investing in an entire palette or something like that, this is a really fantastic option, and the colors are really fascinating. I am really excited about this formula. I think it's beautiful. And I feel like the more I try, the more I kind of experience the things that Allie's putting out, the more I realize, like, she has exquisite taste, but also it's very personal, because like we seem to have very similar taste, you know, in the textures that we like. And so I'm like putting this stuff on my face and I'm like, yeah, you know, it's like me, her, and Kathleen that were the first affiliates for Thrive, like the first people to be like, this mascara is bananas, and then just like, you know, keep going with the brand for a long time. And I just think that that really speaks to us having very similar taste in the way that makeup should perform. So it's not surprising at all that I really like her products so far. And honestly, I'm just like really happy for her to have your first brand, right? Your brand come out and have the releases be such home runs, because it's not just about like what they are. They're not kind of just different to be different. They're like the finest version of what it is that they set out to be. Again, I have the same taste as her, very obviously, but I do think that she's absolutely crushing it. Like, it's a brand that I think is going to just continue to do really well. All right. I mean, we have to talk about it one more time, even though I'm sure you're tired of me talking about it, but the HINDASH highlighters are just special. They're just special. You would never hear me go off about a highlighter except for the Baume Essentiel from Chanel, but again, putting it up in that category, not in that category, but at that like tier of how impressed I am by it. And I actually think I sold HINDASH his first Baume Essentiel. We were at the Chanel atelier and I was like, you need this, and he was like, I need this. Okay, anyway, but I really think that this is an immaculate release. These are only $40. I know it's like only $40, but like this is a true luxury product. I would expect to pay Gucci, Hermes, Prada prices for it, and $40 is a bargain in my book. Like, I'm shocked that they're that affordable. I mean, the colors, there's really something for everyone here. Like, there is the exciting icy highlighter if that's what you want, but it's still really easy to get something just ethereal out of it without it just taking over. And then I am really surprised that like this is the color that I wear the most easily, Doll Dynasty, and that I can still get a good bit of wear out of Peak Heat. I really thought it was going to be too deep for me, but the beauty of these is the textures build so beautifully, so slowly and so seamlessly that I can use them on my eyes, I can use them on my cheeks, I can really just put them anywhere I feel and it's not gonna overwhelm a makeup look. They just look like healthy skin and they, I mean, needless to say, they photograph beautifully, but they look just as good in person. Okay, Lisa's eyeshadows. I will say for these being such highly anticipated releases, both a matte version of her liquid eyeshadow and a brown version of her eyeshadow palette, I am left a little bit wanting. I wish that the mattes layered better. I didn't like how I put one down and then the next one wouldn't really layer with it, because I want, you know, to be able to get an eye look out of it that's long wearing if I just wanted to wear those. And I still feel like I would have to either go in with something else, or it's just something that I feel like could be achieved better with an eyeshadow stick. Like that would be where I would go rather than going towards this. Whereas the liquid Lorax is going to give you so much more payoff than you could ever get from like a shimmery eyeshadow stick. So they do serve a purpose, but I'm not sure they're like quite as exciting or as useful or as versatile as the liquid Lorax. But I do like that they came out in so many of these like really beautiful beige tones. I think that they are useful. They are obviously going to wear all day long, but so will an eyeshadow stick. I do wish that they kind of cooperated better with each other. I don't know how these things are formulated, but it was just a little bit like, you know, that kind of bummed me out. And as far as the Fawn palette, I'm glad that there's a brown now, but I'm probably only going to use like these 3 shades. This one right here, you can see it shift to a little bit of a gold in real life, but when it goes on the eyes, it is pink. And it's like, I don't really want pink in my brown eyeshadow palette. It's just, I wish that that was a true bedroomized brown. I wish that that pan was just full of like a beautiful, rich, coffee brown, creamy, satiny, glittery, shimmery thing that shifted bronze, you know? Like just something that we could just, I want to just smear that all over my eyes. But it is not. And then I do feel like these 2 shades are a little bit redundant. Like I don't need 2 kind of like sooty browns that are a little bit too kind of ashy for me. I think we could have done with just one of them, like right in the middle. And again, like there's not enough texture in this. There's not enough excitement in this for me. And I do feel like there was room for it that was used in ways that I wouldn't have used it. So I am glad that these kind of pop out and rearrange. I hope that she comes out with some soon that have more exciting texture to them. I want exciting brown textures. I don't think that that's that much to ask. I'm glad to have the update on the fact that the Persona eyeliners do not actually dry out permanently if you go ahead and sharpen them. The little Make Beauty brow pencil was lovely. It's kind of hard to piss me off with a brow pencil. It comes in a lot of colors. We'll kind of dive it deeper on those at some point. I really don't know why I can't like make my mouth make words right now. It's been a lately thing, not a today thing, but I think my brows look really nice. I think that later I'm going to look at them and go, huh, because I'm not used to penciling them in, but they do look quite lovely and I still love the Merit. I think that that's pretty much it. That and just a little bit more raving about the Ravie lipsticks, because I just rarely put on a lipstick that I'm like, yep, done, leave it. You know what I mean? Just print it. It's fine, no edits, no notes. So much of the time I'm like, ooh, now I gotta, you know, I was planning on applying more blush at the end. I always do anyway, and I still don't feel like we ended up having to like really compensate. And it is a lipstick that I feel like if somebody saw me in person wearing this, they would be like, that's really pretty. Like that's exceptionally pretty. Like it's not the color of my lips, but it is kind of the color of my nipples. So, you know, that's what we're all kind of after. I need to get off camera. Thank y'all for being here. If you liked this, please do give the video a thumbs up. If you're new here and you made it to the end of the video, God bless you. Subscribe while you're here. It doesn't really get any worse than this. And I will put a video up here that I think you'll enjoy if you liked this one. Look at that highlight. Look at it go. Oh my God. Anyway, I love y'all so very much, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, also, I wanted to tell you, all my patrons, I don't know where my Patreon went. Are y'all getting charged? Because like they can't find my account anymore. So that's why I haven't posted on Patreon, is because like I can't get in, and I emailed customer service and they're like, we can't find anything associated with any of your email addresses. I was like, what? And they're like, we can make you one. I'm like, no, where did it go? So that's awesome for right now. I'm terribly sorry. It's outside my control at the moment. But anyway, that's all. I love y'all. Bye.